Thanks very much. It's a pleasure to be here, and it's wonderful to have Bengt there also discussing. This is new work with Luis Rayo, who is a long-term co-author of mine, and it's very motivated by the kind of phenomenon that has been discussed by Evan and Guy, particularly Guy's seniority-based technological change, the way we are seeing the labor market changing. Um,
Seniority 有
Basically,
一个 paper 做的博士生好，
it's okay. You can see it. I heard the comment, but I'm not sure
It's
there's
good.
any.
Continue, please.
Okay, thank you. So essentially, what he has told us and what other people are telling us, like Eric Brynjolfsson with his recent work on canaries in a coal mine, is that we are seeing a sharply bifurcating labor market. We see at the top how AI is increasing the leverage. It's a machine to leverage people and to increase the amount of knowledge that people can deploy and the amount of work they can do when they are experts. But we also see at the bottom how AI is automating the entry level tasks. So anecdotally, I think there's a lot of this. I think I had a student from India yesterday telling me about Bangalore. I remember talking to a senior partner at McKinsey telling me similar things to what we've been hearing in the previous two talks, telling me we don't ask the analysts to do research, the research anymore because actually deep research from ChatGPT, from all these LLMs, that's much better than any junior analyst. Now, of course, the problem is if we don't need the juniors, if the juniors don't have the job, how will we ever get the experts? So there's a lot more evidence on that. So I'm not going to go over that. LinkedIn reports 35% drop. McKinsey drops reports huge drops in hires from of juniors. I had the McKinsey manager also talked about his PowerPoint, the lack of need for PowerPoints. So the bargain that usually motivates these hires or part of the bargains, and we all have kind of seen it or experienced it, has to do to some extent with work for knowledge exchange. You basically pay for your training through junior work. So in a way, what AI does when it automates all this work, okay, I get the privilege of admitting Eric. So AI, when it automates all this work, what it does is it devaluates, eliminates the currency that finances the training. And Gary Becker was famous for introducing this idea that because training is general, firms won't pay, workers can be poached, and on the other hand, novices are cash constrained. So how are they going to pay for it? So in some work with Luis Rayo from 2017 that I will tell you about in the American Economic Review, we say, well, look, the way it works is that you are going to basically pay for this training through your work. The juniors pay for the training with the grunt work. And AI is basically automating this grunt work, drafting memos, writing the simple code, cleaning spreadsheets, building decks. Those are exactly the kind of jobs that if any of us has worked on one of these firms knows, and that's what all the juniors do. And that's what they do all day. And that's what ChatGPT today, forget about the evolution of AI, etc. ChatGPT and all these DeepSeek, whatever, LLMs, all this Gen AI, that's already very good at this. So the question that I'm going to address, the purpose of my talk is to discuss this paper where we reflect. So I'm not going to show you any data. I'm going to have a reflection, a theoretical reflection on this question. So if entry work creates this little value and this training bargain breaks, how is this pipeline going to survive? So I'm going to show you a simple theoretical framework where is going to help you hopefully to think about that. I think that the evidence is there, both in the Lichtinger and the Brynjolfsson recent Canaries in the Mind paper, for what I am going to tell you. And what we're going to do is we basically have AI into a dynamic apprenticeship. I'll explain you exactly what I mean, and those more from the management side, don't worry. It's all going to be graphical. I will not put any weird math, I promise. We are going to embed AI into this dynamic apprenticeship, and we're going to have a level of knowledge, which is the state of AI. That what can the machines do? So basically, the machines can do a certain amount of work, and the apprentice on that work, on that level of work, below that level, you cannot actually employ that apprenticeship's work is worthless. So he cannot use the work below that level to pay for his apprenticeship. So we're going to have two basic work. AI is going to change the value of the apprentice for every level of knowledge. That's the knowledge. AI is going to change the production by the apprentice at every stage during the relationship. And there are going to be two key things that are crucial, which is how much can AI alone do, and which is the floor. So AI is raising the floor. AI can do things on its own. And the second thing that is going to be crucial is how much can AI raise the work of a graduate? So somebody who's fully trained, how much can AI do with this knowledge? So in a way, AI is both raising the floor, meaning when you come in, you're competing with AI. It can do things that you can do and maybe better, but it's also helping you when you're fully trained. It complements your skills, it complements your expertise, and it allows you to do much more work. So the way that those two things change is going to give you the answer to the question that I pose. There is going to be a race. The saleable knowledge, what the master can teach is only the work over the AI. So as the AI is compressing, there is less knowledge to teach. But if there is less knowledge to teach, there's less knowledge to sell. I can extract less output. And at some point, what's the point of hiring you if I cannot extract any output from you? So we are going to show, I want to be very precise about this. There is going to be a race between the raising floor, the shrinking of the sellable part, and the rising top, which is the expansion of what the expert can add. And basically, the viability of the career is going to be the result of this race between these forces. The key number that you want to do if you're an empiricist, or that you want to try to compute if you're thinking about these careers, is this expertise leverage ratio, which is going to be the ratio between how much does the AI move the top versus how much does the AI move the bottom, the value of the newly minted graduate. And the main result is that basically there is a comparison between this and Euler's number E. So this is a surprising result. It's very sharp. It doesn't depend on any functional formula about the knowledge exchange. It basically has to do with the graduates incentive compatibility constraint. I'll explain you why that's the case. Basically, if the expert's value is growing by 3 times more than what the AI on its own is doing, we are going to be safe for the career. Roughly, that's the kind of result that I'm going to show you. In order to understand this, I'm going to give you a little bit of intuition about our GR, our relational knowledge transfers paper, which is going to be as follows. So the problem that we are going to try to study is that there is an expert that wants to transfer the knowledge. And this is the entire knowledge. We're going to have no AI here. So this is the old paper. 0 means 0 AI. Everybody has 0 AI. So we're going to have an expert that wants to transfer this knowledge. The knowledge can be transferred automatically. Forget about constraints and knowledge exchanges, the time it takes and all that. I can just, if I wanted, I could train you very fast. But I'm not going to do that. I'm going to have you there doing PowerPoint slides and doing all this kind of menial work. Why? Well, you cannot pay me for all this knowledge that I'm going to give you. You can just leave and do all stuff with all this knowledge. So the way I'm going to have you pay me is I'm going to have you work for me. Okay, I'm the expert, you're the novice. I'm going to have you work for me. And I'm going to decide how long is this period of work, how much knowledge I will transfer over time, How much knowledge do I start to give you at the start, and how much do I sell you little by little? Here's the key thing you have to understand. There is an incentive compatibility constraint. That is that you can leave, for my purposes, you think of yourself as the novice. You can leave anytime. Anytime you can just leave me with the knowledge I gave you. So I have to always, it's a relational contract, right? I have to always give you just enough promise of future knowledge. I have to just give you enough knowledge that you prefer to stay for the next knowledge you're going to get rather than go and start producing on your own with the knowledge you have at that point. At any point, you could just leave with your F and just go and do whatever you want. So that in what we call in economics the incentive compatibility constraint, which means the fact that I have to keep you happily by my side, I cannot force you, I cannot enslave you, is what is the whole point of the contract. Because the basic idea is I'm going to have to give you just enough knowledge each period that is equal to all the future, all the production that you're going to get in the future. I'm going to have to the present value of the new knowledge that I transfer has to be exactly the same as the output you produce for me in each period. So all the present value you could just leave is going to have to be equal to the knowledge you produce in that period. But that means that the novice output is going to have to be growing at the rate of interest. So for most people, that's it's you don't need to understand this bit, but basically these curves are all growing at rate R. That's going to be necessary for incentive compatibility. And the reason is that basically I have to give you the present value of the new knowledge has to be equal to the value of the produced at every period. But what that means is that that growth rate is R, and then I only have one very simple choice. How long do I want to employ you? If I want to keep you with me longer, I have to give you a little bit less knowledge at the start. This is my initial training phase where I teach you some stuff so that you can produce something. So I give you a little bit less of a training so that you are here for a longer time. But notice then all that you're transferring me is going to be worth less. Or I can give you a lot of knowledge and all that you're transferring me is going to be worth more, but the contract is going to be short. That means basically that the length of the contract is 1 divided by R. And that's the consequence of the fact that this growth rate is R if you start at T here. And that also means that the gift that I have to give you at the start is the total knowledge divided by E. That is a mathematical consequence of the fact that this is 1 divided by R. I don't need any functional form for F. For any production that people are going to do, this is going to be the key. So what do I need? You need to understand of this problem in order to understand what I'm going to tell you about AI? You need to understand that we have a problem that is to transfer general knowledge to a novice who can take it away. I think you all are with me there. So it's a multi-period apprenticeship where knowledge is transferred gradually. I give you just enough knowledge to keep you around. That I have a trade-off between giving you more knowledge ex ante or giving it little by little later. A smaller gift is going to give me a longer relationship. And that the result is that the initial gift has to be more or less 1/3 of what I have to give you in total. Now, let's start talking about AI. So AI is going to work in two ways. It's going to give me a floor. How much does the computer produce on its own? If I have ChatGPT, how well can it do slides, etc.? And remember, it can do a lot of the menial work. And the top. Let's think only about the floor. Of course, if the floor was before the start of this apprenticeship, the apprenticeship here is how much does this guy produce? How long does it last? This is the initial knowledge. So if AI was below, nothing would happen. I keep my old contract. But as AI gets better, notice what happens. The saleable knowledge, what I can teach my McKinsey consultants, is going to compress because basically my AI already is doing all the spreadsheets. So what they can pay me has been reduced. Before they could pay me the difference between this and this. This was all the knowledge sale I could do before. Now they can pay me much less because all of these things are AI is able to do them. Now, as I do more of this substitution bit, the contract is shortened and the saleable knowledge is less and less. What it means is, remember what I said, the currency that these guys are giving me to stay with me on the side is being devalued by the fact that I have a machine that can do all this work. So why would I have them if I cannot? Why if they cannot pay me for training them? Why would I have them? So this is compressing the training period and leading to an apprenticeship collapse, as I will show you in a second. There is another force, however. There is another force, which is the complementarity. Now think of the same contract. This is an apprenticeship contract without AI. Well, with the substitution AI. And this is how much I give at the start. This is how much the knowledge the agent gets more and more productive. He gets a partner. He gets to be a partner at McKinsey or to go to set up his own firm or to be a lawyer or whatever it is as a partner. These are the T periods. Now we're going to give a complementarity as well. So not just a substitution as before, but a complementarity. We're going to say with AI not only substitutes some of what this apprentice can do, but also complements some of what the expert can do. Now, what this does is it expands again the saleable knowledge. Notice the difference between the scenario before and now we've expanded the saleable knowledge. Because the expert trained can do more, even though the novice is already better, is being replaced by the machine, he still has a lot to learn in terms of how useful it is for me. The training contract acquires a longer length again. So by increasing the saleable knowledge, what is happening now is that the contract is being restored. And in fact, indeed, if AI increases sufficiently the complementarity, what is going to happen is we're going to go back to a full apprenticeship where I can have the apprentice learn as many periods as I had with them, and the apprenticeship contract is restored. So basically, what is happening is very simple in our world. AI, the impact on AI careers is the result of a race between the impact on the entry-level work and the full value of the trained expert. So on first, AI is eliminating this entry-level work. That's a substitution. That not only shrinks the floor, but depreciates the currency, the gold that I used to pay. I don't have any money. I want to go to McKinsey. I want to be an expert consultant. The only way I can pay is by being exploited, doing stupid photocopies. You could say, no. Everything that people do in McKinsey on all these 6 years is productive training. They're really learning stuff. I can tell you that's not the case. I was there. Okay, you do a lot of photocopying and PowerPoints and Excel spreadsheets and all that. Same thing in law firms. Same thing in all training contracts. I'm talking for our pre-docs in economics departments. I'm sure Guy can remember that. So not all is learning. You do menial work, and that menial work is being replaced, and the currency you used to pay for work for the training is being depreciated. But at the same time, the fully trained expert is becoming more and more valuable, and that means that the viability of the training of the career is a race between those two things, between how much can AI alone do and how much can the expert do with the AI. The only number we need to know, and I hope that I explain you how that works, even very briefly. And there is a paper, it's a CPR already, and it's on my website. It's on the web. It compares the AI. The expertise leverage ratio compares the AI graduate value with the AI alone entry value. And to the extent that R is bigger than E, we have a viable contract. Now, under what conditions we have collapse of the whole career? Well, there is a fixed cost of hiring. There is a fixed cost of having these workers. There are all these costs of, and also variable costs of having these workers. The profits before graduation must cover that. As theta raises, the floor raises. If the floor raises bigger than the top, then eventually this pipeline is going to die. If the opposite happens, if the top is raising faster, then we're in good shape. In the limit, apprenticeships are guaranteed as long as the value of the trained expert is 3 times the value of completely the untrained novice fully. So the conclusion, I hope I was given 20 minutes, so that's what I'm hoping to recover a bit. AI removes the junior work that finances the training. There is a very simple ratio that's going to tell you what happens to careers, which is how much does it work for the experts, how much does it help an expert be more productive versus how much it eliminates the junior. And there are 2 levers to raise the R and to preserve the viability. um, basically operating on the numerator and operating on the denominator. Can we offer products that make the value of the expert plus AI higher? Products that embed human inputs or accountability, judgment, supervision, uh, anything that says with a machine, an expert is worth more and more and more? And can we do things that expand this saleable knowledge that I showed you? This part of the knowledge that I'm going to kind of be able to charge through work from my apprentices. And that would mean doing things that make the junior role add value even in cases where the X is smaller than the theta. Value in terms of judgment context. I think Evan was giving us some examples of these managers doing this and some of the lower junior roles adding value to those machines. Thanks very much.